speaker. All right. Hello.
Yeah. Is that,
Okay. You guys on the headphones now. All right. So ask the question one more time. I'm sorry.
so there's two parts to it. The first part was, so this is an up and coming young player here. They've still got
Okay.
this year and next year left in high school.
Okay.
And his questions were, how can someone here get noticed for a scholarship? And the second part was, what are scouts looking for in a player?
Wow. Great question. The biggest thing is exposure. And during this quarantine is a great time to get full game films and highlights emailed to a lot of coaches. I think I probably get 40 or 50 emails a day. And there's a
Wow.
lot of coaches that don't look at those, right?
Wow.
I take my time and I'll look at 10 today, 10 tomorrow, 10 the next day, because you never know what talent you're going to come across. I'll give you guys this story. Again, I played my college basketball in St. Petersburg, Florida. And there was a gentleman by the name of Speedy Smith who played at Boca Ciega High School. He had no offers, nothing, literally. And it was the month of June. And we were recruiting him at Eckerd College, the school that I went to. He's about a 6'2", 6'3" guard, skinny little guy, didn't really look the part, but was a really good player. And we were like, you know what, we'll take them if we have to. Local kids, it's hard to take local kids when you're a Division II school because if they're not good enough, then it's like, well, the community is there to see him play, but he's not playing, so they're never going to get another one. So, we were thinking, all right, well, maybe we'll take this kid. He sent his film to Louisiana Tech University in Louisiana. And this guy ended up leaving there as the all-time assist leader. He ended up being the player of the year in Conference USA, and he took them to 3 NIT tournaments off of his game film that he sent to Coach at University.
So you just cut
Kids
up there.
think like, sending these emails, that stuff doesn't work. That is a real life story. He sent his highlight tape and then he sent some game films along with it. And the coach fell in love with him and they took a chance on him. And he ended up leaving there as the all-time assist leader. He ended up leaving there as the player of this is somebody that was going to Division II Eckerd College in his hometown. Ended up being player of the year in Conference USA. That's a huge deal. And that's all off of, sending the right stuff in your film. So like sometimes people send film where it's only them shooting threes or only them making layups or there's 30. This is what I really don't like if they're listening. I really don't like seeing guys run through the starting lineup shaking people's hands. Like that does nothing for me. That does nothing for me. I really don't like seeing this guy pointing in the crowd. That does nothing for me. Can you hoop? Can you ball? Do you understand what help side defense is? Now, again, that's probably more of me watching the full game. But in the highlights, you need to be very direct. I like the highlights that say shooting, and it has 6 or 7 clips of the shooting, or 10 or 12, whatever it is. Passing, 4 or 5 of those. Ball handling, making a move, getting it 2 feet, finishing, or making the play, or whatever it is. Rebounding, charges. Those are the things that set people apart. Like, it doesn't necessarily need to be 8 minutes long. That's a really long highlight film. I think anywhere between 2 and 3 minutes, if you have enough good content and material, is going to spark our interest to want to watch one of those full game films that comes with it. And then what we're looking for out of our players is, for us personally, we recruit very, very, very strictly to our style of play. And my coach was a coach at VCU when they went to the Final Four. He was assistant there. Then he was at Texas with Coach Shaka Smart. So those guys are known for their havoc and the pressure defense that they apply. So for us, we're looking for guys that are going to be athletic. We're looking for guys that are going to jump past the lanes. And we're looking for guys, honestly, that are just extremely tough. Because our being on the Zoom call last night with Coach Smart, our mindset is just you have to be tougher than the other team. So if I can look on your highlight tape and I can say, all right, I might have some stuff too. And then I get the rest of our coaches to look at that highlight tape and they say, all right, like we need to recruit this dude. Now we all watch the film and okay, well, this guy is super tough. He's really athletic. Or this guy's got the right mentality, or he knows exactly, there's very specific things that we're looking for that complete our culture. And those 3 things for us are, number 1, you got to be the toughest guy on the court. Number 2, you got to be willing to press and smart enough to understand how to press. And then the third thing is you got to have some sort of length or athleticism that can fit into that pressure. That's just us, what we're looking for. Now, every other school is different. Obviously, they recruit to their style of play as well. But the offensive stuff, we feel like that stuff takes care of itself. We tend to try to sometimes recruit to our defense, which is something that a lot of people don't
Yeah. That's music to my ears. You have no idea how interested a lot of young Kiwis will be to hear that. That is, they don't get access to hear it like that. And I think it's kind of almost like a needle in a haystack with them trying to figure out the right kind of formula of how to present it or what to send. So man, that's valuable. So I appreciate that. That's great to hear.
No, it's really funny to think about because obviously I live with Joey and I walk out there, he's making highlight tapes for his girls,
Yeah.
right? And I know that I've seen personally him put at least 1 or 2 charges on every single one of those girls' highlight tapes because him playing in college basketball, he understands the value of what a charge does for your team. It's one of the most exciting plays in basketball. It's one of the most selfless acts in the game of basketball. So why not show some of those selfless acts on your highlight tape? Why not show some of those selfless acts? You know, those are things that college coaches are looking for. Anybody can shoot a 3, man. I mean, honestly, like anybody can do those things, but who's going to step in there and take that charge? Who's going to die for that loose ball? You know, those are things that don't show up enough on highlights. I'll tell you this. Our coach got so excited over this one kid because he dove on the floor 3 times in one possession. He said, Woody, recruit that guy. We want to recruit that guy because in his highlight tape, he dove for it. He saved it. Somebody got a deflection. He dove for it again. He saved it again. Then he dove for it and called timeout. He said, Woody, we got to recruit this guy. We have no choice but to recruit this guy now.
Oh.
And you know, things, you know, that's what turns a coach on, you know, like they want guys like that, especially in our system. Our coach is very energetic. He's awesome, man. And that's good stuff, man. If you can put some of that stuff in your highlight tape, and you definitely have that in your game film and in your game film, guys, don't pick the game where you scored 30 but didn't guard a soul. The guy you're guarding scored 32. Don't put that film on there. You better show some defense because I guarantee you that we're watching the defensive film just as intently as we're watching the offensive stuff too.
We had a guy from our school get recruited to Oberlin, which is like Div 3 college.
I know Oberlin.
Yeah, and so he's going there. Well, was going to be going there during this year, but unsure what's the likelihood of that happening at the moment. But anyway, and one of the games that we sent through for him was like, because this is Lockie, by the way, Joe.
Yeah.
And so he didn't like. Basically, we were thinking like, oh, what's a really good game we could send him? But like the game we ended up sending wasn't. I think he had like 20 points in the game, or like 21 points or something. But then he also had like 10 assists, 8 rebounds, like 3 steals, like made really, really good decisions. Just that kind of game. And then ultimately, like he ended up getting scholarship out of it. So that's kind of like an example backing up that point that you were saying there, Woody.
Yeah. I mean, coaches don't really have, and this is going to sound bad, but coaches don't have time to watch 6, 7, 8 games on one individual player. Like there's just not enough time in the day. You know why? I'll tell you, for us, is we just spend so much time with our players that we have on campus. They're our number one priority.
Yeah.
Coach gives us all a list of things to do. And my number one priority as an assistant coach is to impact our guys. And I can't do that if I'm not spending time with them. So when it comes to recruiting, you know, it's highlights, 2 or 3 game films. And those game films, we're fortunate enough to have somebody that can, you know, help break them down and make them a little bit shorter. But, you know, we're able to watch those films and we really lock in, because some people just watch film and we're locked in on everything that you do, how you approach the officials, how you take coaching from your head coach. What are you doing when you get subbed out of the game? Those are all things that we're watching, because one word that we've talked about this entire podcast has been culture. And we're not going to jeopardize our culture for somebody just because they're extremely talented, right? One of the signs in the Patriots locker room, it says, we don't come to you, you come to us. It doesn't matter who you are. We don't come to you, you come to us. And that's kind of why, you know, they've been able to have this success, because they have a culture of us.
Yeah.
You know, not you and me, it's us, you know. So those will be some just tips that I could think of off the top of my head that, you know, would make for a good recruiting tape and help get you guys some exposure. Send it to everybody. And a lot of people get caught up in sending it to just the Division I schools, right, Joe? They want to send it to Furman. They want to send it to UNC Asheville. Like, Queens is a really good school. Lincoln Memorial is a really good school. Eckerd College, those are really good schools. You know, even some of the Division IIIs like Oberlin, and NAI, Randolph-Macon. I mean, that's another Division III school. You know, there's a ton of NAI schools, Graceville. You got a ton of them that are just out there that are really good programs. Don't limit yourself to trying to play Division I. Yeah. I mean, take it from somebody who played Division II myself. I'm doing okay for myself now, right? I said this probably 2 years ago at an AAU tournament. And I was just talking, like I didn't think anything of it, but I said, one of my friends played Division 1, I played Division 2, and another one played Division 3. I got the best job out of all of those guys. And nobody even remembers where they played at, and ultimately did I probably enjoy my experience the most. Why? Because I played at a level that I could excel at. I played at a level where my family could watch me play, and I played at a level where we're going to win. So everything went great into my experience, and that helped me propel my life forward as well because of the situation that I placed myself in. So again, like it's not about what level you play at. It's do you love the game enough to play, and that's how I can judge if you really love the game or not. Because if it's Division 1 or bust, you don't really love the game. You love the hype that comes along with the game.
Joey, what are your thoughts on those questions from?
Yeah, I mean, what he's right about the film. I mean, I spend a lot of time like breaking down film for the girls, and just again, we talked about, even though we're still here in the States, we're still kind of in a semi-remote area, so we have to really work to try to get our girls kind of on the map. And when I'm very, very, very critical of film, because if you come and watch a game, you get an overall vibe of the game, and they played well, they played hard, whatever. But when you're watching film, it's completely different because you have a rewind button, and you have a pause button, and you can sit there and you can literally break down every single thing that they did right and that they did wrong. And so if you're taking plays off, like I promise you, those 3 threes that you hit don't matter, because they're going to harp on that. And they're going to look how lazy they were right here, or why didn't they dive for this loose ball, things like that. So you have to kind of train yourself to play to a certain standard, hold yourself accountable. We talk about accountability, right? You have a standard which you must adhere to, and you're the only one that can hold yourself to it, right? Like your ball should be played one way, and that's as hard as you can and to the best of your ability. And if you do that, the film will show it. And it might not be the game where you made the most shots or whatever else, but it's a game where you're playing with the kind of passion that you need. Because honestly, success at the next level, at the college level, obviously skill is involved, but there's so many intangibles that you have to have, whether as far as like how you work in the weight room, how you work in the classroom, how you handle coaching, all that kind of stuff. And those things can come through, and not how the ball goes through the basket, but the other things that happen within the flow of a basketball game. Like what he said, what happens when you get subbed out? What happens when the ref makes a bad call? Things like that. Like how you respond to those is more indicative of how you're going to succeed at the next level than necessarily how how many points you put up or whatever else. So you really, as they're sending out film, they really want to be super critical and think about who you're sending it to. This person doesn't know you from Adam. They've got, like what he said, 50 other films in their email, and you're just the next one, right? They just went down one level, and now they're clicking on you. So like, why would this coach who doesn't know you at all want to recruit you? And then there's style of play as well. Like I had one girl who was looking at a specific school, and this school was, I think, maybe 4th in the country in defense. Like, so they hang their hat on their defense. They don't press like UNC Asheville does. They're a different type of defensive team. But I was kind of talking to her about that, and I said, put yourself in the shoes of this head coach. He is a defensive-minded person. He was 4th in the country. I'm sure his head is probably pretty blown up about that. And he wants people who are absolutely like wild about defense. So when you look at yourself, do you look like that kind of kid? If so, send me that film, and then we'll send that out, right? So you kind of have to know who you're looking for. If you go to a place like Florida Gulf Coast for girls, they love shooting threes. They kind of play like the Warriors to a degree. So, you don't want to send them a game that's all defense, because that's not really what they do. They want to shoot. So you kind of have to understand your audience as well. So it requires you to do a little bit of research. But yeah, Woody's right. There's so many things that show up on the film that they're going to be able to look at as much as they want. Once you send it, they've got access. They can do every single thing with that. They can break down every second of that film. So you have to make sure that, nobody's perfect, but the things you can control, back to controllables, you have to do those really, really well in order to be able to, stand out. because there are a lot of people. And to be honest, because they're coming from a different country, there's probably going to be a perception that the competition is not as good. I know we deal with this all the time, living out in the mountains. There's a perception that the girls that our girls play in high school are not as good. So our film has to be even that much better. When we do travel ball, we go all over the place. We go to Chicago, we go to Texas, we go whatever. But if you're sending high school film, and for you guys, film just from New Zealand, it needs to be even a little bit more to overcome any biases that the coach may have, and maybe they don't have. Maybe they're looking with a completely, unbiased eye. But if they aren't, then you need to be even that much better to prove that you're worthy of being flown all the way out here to come play basketball.
Yeah.
One of the